we were able to make right the commitments that we made on this floor in December 2023, which was during the budget defense session. And I'm happy to inform you that most of those commitments we made, especially with regards to the automation of our processes, were actually attained and achieved during the year. And to our budget performance, the Ministry of Interior, just as we know, has has five agencies under its supervision, starting with the board, then the Correctional Service, the Nigeria Immigration Service, the Civil Defense Corps, the Federal Fire Service. These are the agencies under the supervision or purview of the board. And obviously, in year 2024, if we, in year 2024, our capital allocation for year 2024 as a ministry was 4,397,260,769 naira, and of which we have done the necessary processes. We've uploaded, and we are still awaiting capital release of the capital allocation as we speak. That's the status. We're still awaiting release from the accountant general of the federation, from that office. And of course, overhead has the overhead component was 809,321,561 naira, of which we've had 100% release, and the expenditure is 743,801,031 naira 99 kobo, giving us a balance of 65,520,529.
Sir, you are speaking to the 2024 budget performance, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes. Then for the personnel, we have personnel component of the budget being 1,214,296,059 naira, of which we have 100% release and 100% expenditure. So in total, cumulatively, we have a total appropriation consisting of capital overhead and personnel of 6,420,878,389 naira, of which what we have as release is 2,023,617,620 naira, with expenditure of 1,958,097,090 naira 99 kobo, with a balance of 65,520,529 naira and 1 kobo. That's the performance of the budget with regards to 2023. But just as 2024, my apologies, please. And in regards to the IGR of the ministry, I could recall that when we came here the last time, we spoke about the IGR, and the chairman of the Senate spoke about us automating the system and blocking leakages, and of course, making critical decisions of making sure that only specific skills without in-house capacity or capability are granted expatriate quota. And to a large extent, we took to that advice. We deployed a formidable solution which will be live in the next couple of weeks, in the next 2-3 weeks, should be live, to be able to make decision making with regards to expatriate quota a little bit more objective rather than being subjective and of office. So for 2024, we had obviously, the reason for this is because we know that a lot of key sectors came to life within the last financial year, and there was a lot of growth of GDP, and of course, need for some expatriates, and also number two, closing of a lot of leakages by virtue of zero remittance by cash or anything, and a full automated solution. So it was the automation of this solution that blocked some of these leakages that made the revenue to shoot up. Not that we were just allocating expatriate quota to raise money. No. We were mindful of it because we know you raised this December 2023. So in the course of the year, that was at the center of our considerations and approvals, so to say. And also, the marriage and porter fees for marriage, we budgeted, we had a target of 800 million for marriages, but of course, more people got married. We didn't increase the marriage fee, not at all, but we had more people getting married than what we targeted. And by virtue of that, our actual revenue moved from 800 million target to 1.1 billion target. That's about 40-something%. So in total, our IGR target for 2024 was 2 billion. That was what was the target as approved. But in actual sense, we were able to raise 5 billion 638 million 464 thousand 682 naira 8 kobo, which in line with government extant regulations get remitted to the Consolidated Revenue Fund of Government. So this was what we were able to do in the year 2024 in terms of budget performance. And also, part of the reasons why we were also able to up the system is the modernization of almost all our systems. And of course, the reduction in the cost component of our project implementation framework. When I say reduction, like what we inherited was a scenario where we were housing our data in private hands and etc. That cost had been taken off. So government is now in charge of government data. The president in December came to commission the project. And also, we also tried to, in automating some of these solutions, we were also able to optimize the performance. And also, especially for offshore activities, we made sure that we embraced digital transformation. And with digital transformation, it means that you do not, unlimited number of people can enjoy a service at a particular time without actually handling queuing processes. So these were some of the innovations that were brought to the affairs of the ministry and its agencies. And I'm happy to tell you that these reforms are fast yielding fruit to the benefit of Nigerians and to the glory of Almighty God. And we hope that with your continual support, 2025 will be a more productive year for the Ministry of Interior and Nigeria at large. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman.
I want to commend the minister for a job well done, especially in the area of revenue collection. But I want to advise, because the gap between the projection and actual is so wide. You projected 1.2 billion, and we end up collecting almost 4 times that figure. So I hope in the 2025 projection, which we have not come, the projection should be realistic now. Build confidence in yourself and project, look for more. You should aim at a higher figure than 4.5. You should go for 6 or 7. If you can move from 1.2 to 4.5, so you can move from 4.5 to maybe 6 or 7. But I commend you for a job well done. Thank you.
Senator Yaya, and as well as His Excellency Senator Goje for the wonderful.
May we should raise your voice.
Okay. Okay, let me borrow the comrade's voice. I want to appreciate my colleagues in the House of Reps and also appreciate my leaders, Distinguished Senator Yaya as well as Distinguished Senator Goje, for the wonderful kind words. And we can assure you that we will do our best to improve on these things. As is often said, the reward for hard work is more work, and we will always continue to put in our best. Let me start with my brother. You spoke about going on a visit to a company. I guess you're talking about Contech, right? And you spoke about the green card. The green card is different from this. Green card is a SEPAC card, which is Combined Expatriate Residence Permit and Alien Card. That is a card issued by the NIS that gives you that, in accordance with the NIS Act, that gives you the right to reside, to work, and to live in Nigeria. The expatriate quota is a different thing. When a company, let me explain. When a company, and the expatriate quota is issued by the ministry, not by NIS. When a company needs, like, for instance, you need a system engineer, you ask the ministry for a quota that, okay, this year I need quota for 20 personnel. These 20 people will do this, and this for me. The responsibility of the ministry is to now make sure that, okay, justify, which is what is done all over the world, in UK, in US, everywhere in the world, it is done. So it is, once you justify, you submit the series, okay, why can't you find a Nigerian, you probe into it, it comes through the whole process. Once it is approved, but it can only be approved once you already have a permit, a business permit, because it's only only a person that has a business permit that can ask for an expatriate quota. And once you have that permit, you pay for it. You pay for each quota you request for. But when you have like 20, you have quota for 20 personnel, it's not mandatory that you use 20, because at the beginning of the year, your target might be, this is where your business will go. But business can be slow. At the end of the day, you can't use the 20 personnel. So the number that you want to use, those are the people that that will now get the SEPAC. Do you understand what? So the revenue here is strictly revenue from permit and quota, not the other way. So this, so the green card is not what we're talking about here. So it's entirely different. And if you are asking me the question that you asked, which I would like to ask, is that the SEPA contract was approved as far back as, I think, under President Obasanjo, then Jonathan, and etc. And of course, it's a concession process, the technology, opening on offices and whatever. So it's what we inherited. So of course, and there is no law in Nigeria. As a matter of fact, the ICRC's Act gives room for public-private partnership. So I don't think it is wrong for the public to partner with the private sector. But what we should talk about is the justification in terms of the condition for concession and, of course, revert back clauses in contracts. That's what I think we should talk about. So basically, on what you have raised, this has nothing to do with the green card. Absolutely nothing. So that's that. Then we spoke about the, how do you do, okay, that the capital budget was, capital release was zero, yet we were able to do our automation e-gates, the command and control center, resource centers, visa approval centers, solar farm, and etc. What did we do? It's just thinking out of the box. We didn't spend a kobo of government money to do some of these things. What we did was, we didn't enter into a new contract. Is to look at existing contracts and see how we can do value, what we call value proposition in management, to be able to look at, okay, what does this, for instance, somebody has a contract on issue of VACs. I'm citing an example. Yet he didn't build a VAC approval center. How do you do this? You can't take the easy way and not give government the facility that you're supposed to give. So what did we do? It's a matter of, okay, you are enjoying this privilege from government, then you just have to do this. For instance, somebody has a border control solution management. He implements the software part of it, and the hardware was missing. And of course, the hardware of border control is part of e-gate solution. And I'll be able to say, come on, you cannot do this. I'm a technological person. Because you cannot implement contracts half and half. You have to implement it holistically. So it's about bringing people back, accountability. For instance, the 4 megawatt solar farm we did is about $4 million. Anybody knows generation of power, $1 million on the average per megawatt. It's about 4 megawatt. But what did we do? We didn't spend a kobo of government money. We didn't enter into a new PPP. We didn't enter into a new agreement. No. What we did is, okay, you people you have this, come and implement what is there. You must be accountable. You must. So it's about bringing people back and now designing a solution ourselves. In most of these solutions, I have to tell you, I consulted personally because I'm an IT consultant of over 20-something years. It's what I've done all my life. So I brought my expertise into play to say, look, this is the solution. You can't deceive government. You can't do this. You can't be generating this. At the end of the day, you are supposed to provide this. You are not providing what you are supposed to provide. So it's about bringing people back. So every solution that we saw, I can tell you emphatically, not 1 naira of all the solutions Mr. President commissioned, running to millions of dollars, not 1 naira came from the public purse, from government purse, and not 1 contract was signed or maybe concession. It is about bringing value to existing contracts and making sure that Nigeria gets maximum value for contracts that had been signed before now. And also, that's part of, well, maybe later, because we'll talk to, I believe the chairman will speak with the committee in camera on our e-border solutions. Because, of course, those are not things that we can discuss in private. We know the volume of what we have brought to bear. For instance, in Nigeria today, NIS boasts of one of the biggest data centers that we have anywhere in Nigeria today. We have one of the biggest. And of course, that's millions of dollars. But we didn't take a kobo from government. It's about you enjoying a privilege and knowing fully well that government is not a charity organization. When government gives you a concession, there are things that you also have to give back to government. So if you do not fulfill your own bargain and you are benefiting from government patronage, then it is my responsibility as Minister of Interior to be able to say, hey, come, this thing you are doing, you cannot do this, you cannot do that. And that is why today we see the whole of Interior, either it is the ministry, it is correctional service. I'll give you an example of part of what happened. When there was a jailbreak in Suleja last year, it took us time to be able to get data, even biometric or whatever. We couldn't share the information with other sister agencies. Apprehending people that escaped became a problem. But 2 months after that, there was flood in Maiduguri when the whole correctional center was flooded and inmates escaped. In less than how long? In less than 24 hours, DSS, all security agencies got biometric picture, whatever, all the data of something changed within 2 months. And it's bringing people back. Government did not spend a kobo to digitize or to do that solution afresh. No, it's about you are enjoying patronage. I'm an IT person. I'm not a civil engineer. If it's about building, I might not know a lot about it. I might need an expert opinion. But I am an IT professional that have consulted for some of the biggest companies in Nigeria, some of the biggest multinationals. So my essence of it is bringing into fore that experience and making sure we have value. So in terms of your question, we have not spent a dime of government money. Even all our e-gates, we are finished with Lagos, we are finished with Abuja, they are already using it. Kano, all the e-gates for Kano, the e-gates for Port Harcourt and Enugu, they are on ground as we speak. Installation starts, immediately the company, they are back from holiday. So all these e-gates across the whole country is at absolutely not 1 kobo to government. It's about bringing people back to contract they signed as far back as 1999. Contracts people signed in 2003. Contracts people signed in 2005. Asking them to come back, do what you are supposed to do. You are making money. It's not when government gives you a concession, it's not for you to take the whole money. It's for you to also add value. So that if your contract is 10 years, is 20 years, by the time the PPP ends, there is a facility that government inherits and benefit. So that is called handback in project negotiation. And we came back and saw that the handback was not really there. Nothing was on ground. And we said, no, we cannot. So that is what we have been able, and I want to assure you, in 2025, there are a lot of these things that we are going to put our torchlight and ensure that if you do not bring value back to government, then it is better you quit. We are not Father Christmas. That is the truth. If government has money to build all infrastructure, there wouldn't be need for a PPP. The reason for a PPP is because bring your money, give us the infrastructure, let's share the profit. But when you talk about profit sharing without infrastructure, it is callousness, it's wickedness, it's perfidious, it's unacceptable. And that's what we have done. So I want to assure you that we will do more in 2025 in regards to that. Then my brother spoke about hiccups in technological solutions. That is not an NIS issue, it's a NIMC issue. It is National Identity Management Commission. Part of what we did when we came on board is to ensure, because we had an issue, happened, I think it was in the UK or it was UK. We saw Nigerians, somebody would have a passport bearing Bumi Tunji Ojo. The same person will have a NIMC with another name. Some we have with the same name but different date of birth, different data. So there was identity proliferation. So what we decided to do, which I personally stepped into this, is to ensure that we can harmonize our data without spending money. And what did we do is to make sure that there's a handshake between NIMC and NIS, such that immigration will never take your data. Immigration pulls data from NIMC, because by law, NIMC is supposed to be the custodian of all identity data in Nigeria. On this correction, I will take it up with DG NIMC, and you can be sure by the grace of God we'll do our best to make sure we improve on the process. Then the issue of the capital that my leader raised, we actually, it was the envelope that we were given, and part of our plea to the committee, that Interior is a very sensitive ministry. It's a ministry that deals with border security. It's a ministry that deals with internal security. It's a ministry that deals with a lot of things. I mean, if the budget increases in terms of national budget, we also think Interior's budget should go up rather than to go down. There's a lot for us to do. There's a lot we want to do. I want to appeal to the committee to use your powers of oversight and appropriation powers to be able to help us to look at this and probably provide more resources for us to be able to deliver on our mandates. Thank you.
Yes.
We have nothing to talk about. This is quite in tune with our experiences this year, where the total capital performance for the entire government is just below 25%. It appears that for the Ministry of Interior, is zero. My only comment is that maybe it is about premature for us to talk about 2024 because we have already extended the budget to around June. So maybe we hold our breath. Maybe going forward, when we reach about June or May, the committee may call you back to see whether the releases have improved and what you have done with the capital aspect of the budget. I just want to further comment on your internally generated revenue for 2023. You have exceeded the amount that has been collected. Also in 2024, you have also exceeded, the expectation was that you get 2 billion and you recorded about 5 billion. I also want to congratulate you, even though inflationary pressures, may have devalued a lot of the improvement that you have made. But my main question, really, is why are you reducing your capital budget proposal for 2025? Is it the result of the envelope that you have been given? When you look at you are page 6. The capital appropriation for 2024 is about 4.3 billion, but 2025 you are cutting it to 3.8 billion. You know, what is the reason for this? Is it the envelope that you have been given, or you have now lower expectations of what you need to do in 2025? You know, on the whole, from what we have here, we really don't have much, you know, to inspect, unless you are going to inspect the 2023 budget performance, which has been, the performance is quite above average. But for 2024, I think we better close our case and wait until maybe the half of the year before the end of this year's budget. So that's my comment, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
On page 11, it's a budget item that doesn't seem to me to be clear. I would like you to explain what we mean by stakeholders engagement, sensitization, enlightenment in the resolution of inter-ethnic 2024, page 11. Inter-ethnic and boundary disputes across 774 LGS of the Federation. This is page 11. Page 11, 540 million was allocated to it. Have you seen that? Yes. Can you throw some light on that? Yeah. And then on the same page 11, I've seen another thing that I'm also not clear about. Purchase of teaching and learning aid equipment in the Ministry of Interior.
Sorry, page what?
Page 11. Teaching and learning aid equipment. Yeah. For the other inter-ethnic wahala that you mentioned, you wrote new. Then up, where under capital expenditure, I've seen purchase of teaching and learning aid equipment.
I can't see that.
This is your document, I suppose. It's page 11, the same page 11. And then this one here, up here.
Sorry. Okay. When you were appointed, I was there, and I commend. I was so happy that Mr. President appointed you, because I know you have capacity and sagacity to deliver. You have delivered. But I have a particular issue which has to do with security, insecurity. We have porous borders, and a lot of people from other countries do enter our country through all these porous borders. As they are coming in, they come in with all kinds of weapons, because we have arms proliferation all over Africa now. What mechanism are you putting in place to make sure that our borders are fortified, just like what is obtainable in our airports? To a reasonable extent, our airports are more secured than our borders, and we have a whole lot of borders.
It's okay.
So please, I want you to address that.
About numbers now, what the performance is about.
To him or when he's free to do that, but the point being made by Distinguished Senator Jibrin, for me, this is the answer you should have provided. If I transfer money from my bank account to pay for a service, the fact that I didn't write receipt, I transferred, doesn't mean I will not obtain receipt. Right? Evidence that I have paid. So, both the first explanation of the PAMSEC and your explanation about E is not returning for evidence of payment. Otherwise, we'll be dealing with invisible transfers, and I don't think that is your intention. So I think you are right. The ministry needs to provide this evidence, because if we are going to talk about budget, It's only to the extent that we have revenue that have been generated. Otherwise, the budget will not perform. So, but this is just my comment on this, but there are other questions that have been put, including some question we need a substantive answer. And I saw, I think for the first time,
Very, very important not to be leaked, because sometimes last year we had a proliferation of our data through NIMSI. So please, Minister, should pay attention to this, because people's data in Nigeria is very important to them. And my second question again to you is on your overheads. In 2004, you had 809 million naira. Now you are proposing a total of 1.1 billion again in 2025. Now my question is, do you have retirements, do you have death, dismissals, and the rest? Because my expectations is for the overhead to go down a little bit, not to even go higher. So are you anticipating employment in the year 2025 so that you'll be able to fill in that gap of over 300 billion? This is just my question to you.
Honorable Chair, I'm not moving far from the question my colleague, the High Chief asked, because I have that. I should say it, though I plead that I should be given. Yes. So, High Chief has spoken about insecurity issues and the rest. I'm particularly concerned about that in relation to the Ministry of Interior, because I come from Borno State. My name is Honorable Zainab Gimba. I represent Bamangala Kalabalgiam. I'm from Borno State. And I'm so concerned because 3 of my constituencies are at the border areas. And the 3 of them are equally affected by Boko Haram and are the most affected, even in Borno State. So I just want, I have gone through all the 2024 budget for the Ministry of Interior, and I have not seen anywhere where you have made any effort to make things different, maybe by looking at the borders, or by maybe even looking at infrastructures at the border areas, and or any other effort that you would have made to complement the efforts of the military in combating the insurgency around that area. One great thing I would like to mention, I did that last year at the budget presentation, is that we have a border post, for instance, in Gamboru, in Banki, in Kalabalige. And all of those ones, if you see it, it's not something to write home about. And this is an international border where we are expected to have something very presentable with a standard that at least if you come into Nigeria, this is the first thing you are seeing before you go in anywhere. So, Honorable Minister, what are you doing to make these things different? This thing has been existing like this for the past 2 decades or even more. Thank you.
We have to understand 2 things. Number one, this government has paid a lot of attention to borders, and we've also achieved a lot. But while I was talking the other time, I spoke about some certain information being classified, because we're talking about, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, attention.
Okay. Yeah, I spoke about certain information being classified. And it is my desire, maybe one of these days, we'll be invited to talk on the progress that we are making precisely in terms of border. But obviously with the camera and everything, we cannot talk about our efforts in terms of border control here. I will not do that, because the last time a newspaper spoke about some of the solutions we're deploying, and the next thing we saw was an attack in Kebbi, and we lost 3 of our officers. That was 3. We lost 3 engineers working on some of these projects. We lost them. That was last week, Tuesday, in Kebbi. So I will not sit here and endanger the lives of innocent people at the border by bringing into fore, by unclassifying a classified information. So maybe I plead with this August Assembly that there can be a day for interaction with regards to border strategy. yeah, closed door, and we'll be able to open up the whole space of what we're achieving. Then also, it's unfortunate that Honorable Zainab had left here, because I would have responded to her. I mean, she had left. Okay. Yeah, she spoke about provision of border posts and etc. in the ministry's budget. It's a misnomer. I believe even if you see it in my budget, you will query me. I do not, the ministry is an aggregator. The ministry is a supervisor. Border post is exclusive responsibility of Nigerian Immigration Service. I do not control troops. I do not build FOBs. It is Immigration Service and Customs that does that. And as a ministry, I will not usurp the power of an agency under me. That's wrong. So that it's not in the budget. For her to query that, she should have first of all queried the immigration budget to see maybe FOBs or borders are there. So in the Ministry of Interior, I cannot put construction of border post in Ministry of Interior because it's not my responsibility. It is the responsibility of NIS and Customs. It's my responsibility to supervise, to ensure that they do what they are supposed to do, but not to usurp their powers. So that is the response to that. Then on the issue of data harmonization, of course, I can't remember any country, and I repeat, in the world that has a no-fail-safe solution to data protection. And also, what we have done is, because before now, different agencies were storing their data with private entities, which is against the Data Protection Act, approved by this assembly. So what we did is to create a center point, which is for the purpose of harmonization and sharing of data. So it means that data is easy to share, it's easy to keep safe, and at the end of the day, it's even cheaper for government because we don't need to now pay data centers here and there, for it takes responsibility running to billions away from government, and that we have been able to do. Then about the protection, the only completely safe computer, as he said in the IT world, is a computer that has not been plugged to electricity. Once it becomes connected, there is always that tendency of risk. And that is why vulnerability penetration testing is advisable on a regular basis for you to be able to detect vulnerabilities, for you to have patches, and for you to be able to solve these solutions. So some of these things, we're already working on it. But the details to the extent of our data security protocol, I will never say it out, because saying it is compromising the data itself. Then, on issue of overhead is simply salaries. I do not recruit officers. All my officers are pool staff. So even if somebody dies or somebody retires, head of service, we replace the person. Exactly. And also, secondly, is that overhead must even increase because there is salary adjustment. We have salary, because overhead is strictly salaries. So there is increment in salaries and etc. So that's the justification for that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Question for the Nigerian.
Okay, sorry.
Immigration or whatever. The truth of the matter is, your explanation on the increase in quota, I have personal concerns. No country in the world, not America, not China, not Europe, that allow all manners of people to come under all kind of guises, and they are giving visas or green card, whatever it is, passport, to reside in the country. When, maybe over the weekend when you are not at work, just visit some of the commercial centers in Abuja, and you will find expatriates selling chairs, selling tables. You will find expatriates selling bread, making bakeries. I don't want to measure their nationality, so I have to be a bit diplomatic. But there are clearly jobs that Nigerians can do, jobs that Nigerians have been doing, that have now been relaxed and transferred back. All the gains of indigenization, Nigerianization. As a union leader, I fought many employers when they seek to import expatriates to do jobs that Nigerians can do. And as it stands, somebody said it from brass. If you check the document seriously, you will find technicians from foreign countries coming here as engineers, while our own engineers are working in foreign restaurants in Europe and elsewhere. You are too generous in issuing permit for expatriates to do jobs that Nigerians can do. I raised this matter even when Ngige was Minister of Labor, but I realized that it was not, it is the Ministry of Interior. And I work, when Nigeria had a manufacturing sector, I work in that sector. But even today, those jobs that have been exclusively reserved for Nigerians are today being carried out by foreigners. I see foreigners managing supermarkets, small stores. As nobody can tell me that Nigerians cannot be a sales manager in a small company. And I'm not talking of a big scale business. And you see this expatriate, again, I don't want to mention they tend to come from a particular part of the world. So I think you need to review that. Because since the economy is not creating the number of jobs that we need to cope with the population growth rate, we do need to ensure that the jobs that are available are not taken over. It is right to encourage foreign investors. It is even right to accept to borrow money from foreign countries, but not to lend and allow them to take over our territory. I see expatriates who sleep in containers. I see expatriates working in where they produce, I come from a donut, and you find them working in granite, things that Nigerians have been doing. That is not really mining. This is granite we use for road construction, for civil engineering, construction, etc., etc. So obviously, quarries, that is the correct word. These are jobs that Nigerians can do. And if you keep licensing foreigners to do it, you are actually compounding the unemployment situation of skilled Nigerians. I want you to speak to that. And at a point, I was saying to somebody that we may have to commission a consultant, just Abuja here. I will have a conversation with you as to the definition of what a Nigeria can do and what your honest judgment in Nigeria cannot do. And let's just do a test case of Abuja capital territory. By the time you go to Lagos and go to Chinatown, the picture might even be much more confounding. And recently, I am sure distinguished senators, honorable members, you will have read the newspapers about people from, after they measure our name, we too can measure their names. Chinese people being arrested by EFCC for Yahoo activities. Those ones came here with your permit. You have expatriate quota for Yahoo players. So I think these are issues we must take much more seriously. We mustn't allow one expatriate that has no business here to be here. He can visit as a tourist, but like every tourist, you go back at the expiration of your tourism. I am particularly, if you understand my background, when it comes to job creation and transfers of unemployment to Nigeria, I am a fanatic. I think your ministry can do a lot more. You should be less generous. You should carry out more interrogation about the kind of job people are doing. When I go around many places, the people I see, if you go to Kano, you will find Chinese working, doing bakery work. Small stores. No, that cannot be. Because they don't allow Nigerians to go to their country to do those things, even though we have very cordial relationship with them. So I'd like to have your comment on it, and it's something that I think you need to, as a Nigerian, we all have a duty to secure those jobs for Nigerian young people, and even the not so young.
Let me say this, that there is nothing to hide, and I was talking about a process. And if honorable member had waited for me to land, probably the agitation would have been quenched. The key issue is that I told you the way the procedure, the workflow. After the expatriate quota and everything is taken by the ministry, then the immigration issues the SEPAC card, not the ministry. That's what I'm saying. And payment is made to government account online, which is charged in dollars, but in naira. You spend in naira at prevailing CBN rate, online conversion, the CBN rate. That's the way the system works. So the money goes to government account, but by NIS, not by the ministry. So what is a part of the revenue profile? And when you look at the defense section of NIS, you will see SEPAC as part of their revenue profile. I will not go and appropriate the revenue of NIS as a ministry source of funding. That is not the principle of appropriation. That was not what we were taught in this chamber. And I will not pretend over such an activity. So it is when it comes to NIS funding, what they call budget, you look at the profile there, SEPAC is there. It's just like you're asking me, why is passport not in my profile? I cannot put passport. I don't issue passport.
It's clear.
Then on your question on what you raised, Your Excellency, let me say this. And as I said, I want to plead that one of these days when Your Excellency is free, there's a lot to really talk about, not in an executive session. But in an executive session that has to, because I'm being very choosy and I'm being very picky in terms of information that I drop. We cannot solve, we can't solve national security. We can't solve the problem of unemployment. We cannot solve the problem of even deprivations if we do not solve the problem of migration management, which is immigration. And these are not issues that we'll talk about in public. When we speak about these people, the problem is oftentimes we try to solve compound problems by solving them in silos. We cannot provide a solution in silo to a compound problem. 90%, I want to tell you, sir, a lot of the people that you spoke about, they do not have permits. A lot of them do not even have these documents. And that is the essence of the automation process that we are doing. Because I'll give you an example. When you go to Singapore, when you go to any country in the world, the effective border control management is the basis of of your whole migration management. I'll give you an example. When somebody is coming into Nigeria, it's part of the solution we are deploying now, free of charge. I mean, it's not government funding, we're doing it. When somebody is coming into Nigeria, how do you even confirm and ensure that the person is not even coming through a fake visa? Something as simple as that. That's number one. Number two, we inherited a system. We inherited a system whereby we had two visa regimes. I don't know of any country that runs dual visa regimes. There is what they call it, the manual and the auto, the bow visa here and there. So even when you go to a country, just like our passport, it's now that we now have just one series now, starting from this January. It's what we've been doing over the last 80 years. And immigration, that's why Nigerians are treated with disrespect, sometimes at foreign border posts. You go into America, somebody in front of you who is a Nigerian gives a passport. The immigration officer looks at it, sees there's a Nigerian passport, he lets you go. The next person that comes, bring another type of passport, because we're having the A series and the B series, two different passport regimes for a country, when we know that passport is a symbol of sovereignty. It has to be uniform. So a lot of these things, in Nigeria when you come, a lot of people don't even fill landing card, because where else do you go to that they still give you paper landing card in this era? That is not even capturing your biometric, it's not even comparing the biometric feature to your feature that you gave in your visa application, so that to be sure that before you are boarded, before any airline, because once there is a procedure and a protocol by a country, airlines are bound to obey. So you don't even leave your country if you don't pass through the right channel. So there are a lot of these automation processes. So these were things we inherited, and we have built the infrastructure, we are building on it, but I'm just talking, half and half on this. When there's an executive session, I will be able to open up the entire structure of what we are trying to do and what we have done and where we are going to. Thank you, sir.
All right. Other agencies under the minister, they are not yet before us. Those will be taken separately. And the question related to those are better reserved until we talk to those agencies. So I think the minister has been extremely detailed. I've attended some other budget defense. I can't recall anyone where the minister has been as exhaustive as he has been to us. And I do also understand that when you are dealing with, we had a senator who was one of us. He's now more minister than a senator. So he's more about character. It's nothing to, yeah. But it goes without saying that your being in the House gives you a deeper insight into why we want to find out how you spend your budget. But I think even coming from the members, we want to congratulate you for what you've done in 2024. And you were a lot younger in 2024 than you are going to be in 2025. But I hope your energy will still be there and your experience will be much, much deeper. So now we thank you for your presentation. I believe we are satisfied with your explanation. If there are more questions, like you said, after this budget season, we can have a special session to discuss those issues with all cameras shut out. And trusting that we too will keep what is meant to be state secret as state secret. So now we go to, this is my last comment. The point you made earlier, I'm sure, I hope it's not lost on many of my colleagues, that if it has happened in your ministry, that quota have been awarded all these years to private sector companies, whether these are Nigerian-owned companies or they are foreign-owned, and somehow they execute the soft side, that they make money, and then they do not deliver on the other side. And it takes your intervention now to get them to carry a holistic, to implement the contract in full, which enabled you to build those facilities that I was there when the president came to commission those facilities. They look standard, they look well built, and that this money could have otherwise been lost, and public funds would have been appropriated to execute those.
692-410-481, overhead of 1,659,660. That's page 12. Page 12. Page 6? Okay. Okay, page 6, yeah. That's the summary, thank you. Yeah. Page 6 is just the summary.
This detailed copy.
Here, we're proposing, what we have here is the personnel, 1,692,410,461. And overhead of 1,100,000.
No, speak more to the mic.
No, the mic is on.
Yeah. Just speak to it.
Yeah, sorry, sir. For Ministry of Interior, we have personnel of 1,692,410,481, overhead of 1,159,879,666, and capital of 3,831,173,048, giving the ministry as an entity a total allocation of 6,683,463,175. Then underneath are the allocation for all the other agencies, correctional, immigration, NSCDC, the board, and the Federal Fire Service. So, which takes every. Yes, sir.
15. Wait, Ikoyi upgrade of Ikoyi marriage registry. And just fourth line below that, there is another renovation and upgrade of Ikoyi marriage registry, new, 180 million. And that is my question. I think this one is ongoing, this one is new, but it's the same project title. Yes, thank you.
Go down, you will find Ministry of Interior headquarters. And the first line there is overhauling of electric power system establishment stroke activation. Pardon? Surplus deficit, deficit revenue over expenditure. Yeah, I mean that is just to establish the page. So any comment anybody wants to make, you can make it. On page 15.
15. Wait, Ikoyi upgrade of Ikoyi marriage registry. And just fourth line below that, there is another renovation and upgrade of Ikoyi marriage registry, new, 180 million. And that is my question. I think this one is ongoing, this one is new, but it's the same project title. Yes, thank you.
An ongoing thing. Exactly, because it's actually ongoing. So you cannot, exactly. So at least, I'm sorry about that. Then to what Distinguished spoke about. Yes, the solutions that we spoke about, automation of the whole processes, it's basically administrative. For instance, we have a system where I'll give an example, even store, it's not automated. We have a scenario whereby if you need somebody